Your district right now is at the center of the migrant crisis. That's topping the news everywhere. But there is some relief, we hear, on the way. And we understand you've just received some huge news about funding and more federal dollars coming to the city. What can you tell us?
Yes, the White House is going to be announcing, I believe later today, that they are taking some much needed action to help alleviate the burden on New York City and New York State for handling and bearing the financial burden for the migrants. There are going to be, as you mentioned, about 50 Department of Homeland Security officials who are going to come to New York. And the primary reason they are going to come is because it's their assessment from when they came a few weeks ago that many of the migrants who have arrived are actually already work eligible, but need to go through the work authorization process. And that's why these officials are coming. There also is going to be the influx of potentially hundreds of millions of dollars from the Department of Education in coordination with the state to help certainly alleviate some of the financial burden on our schools. There will be an additional 100 million that is coming to reimburse the city based on their application. And I think another thing that will be very important is that the HUD is going to make available about 14,000 vouchers for homeless New Yorkers to get into their own apartments, which of course will free up space in the shelters for migrants. So I think these are really meaningful and important first steps. We in the congressional delegation have been working very hard behind the scenes with the White House and with the Department of Homeland Security. And so I'm quite happy to be able to report that there will be some immediate action taken to help address this crisis.
So how soon do you think that we'll actually see a difference here in the city?
Well, I think within a few weeks, for sure, because they'll also finalize the lease on Floyd Bennett Field. They're opening up a hangar at JFK to be able to house more people. So the federal government is moving in action. And I think what is important is that we address this situation and the humanitarian crisis first, which is to say that we need to get people housed, we need to get people sheltered. We will deal with the financial burden. We can deal with it later. And the work authorization is part of that process because that will take a few months, not only to get people with work authorization, but to get them jobs and ultimately to get them on their own, paying for their own apartments as part of the communities as they pursue the American dream, which they are here to do. So it will be immediate action, but it'll be a series of steps that need to be taken over the next couple months.
I don't want to belabor this point, but with the work authorization process, we've talked to so many migrants who've already been here for 6 months and still can't get that paperwork. What's needed to actually speed it up, and what is the holdup?
Well, it varies depending on how you came in. When in May, the administration started using much more frequently the CBP One app, which allows people to get an appointment, to come in, apply for asylum, as long as they are going through the proper process through ports of entry. They're vetted, they have a background check, and they register effectively. But once you do that, you're actually eligible for work authorization very quickly. You do not have to wait the 6 months that Tom Perez mentioned in that clip you showed. And so a lot of people don't know that.
Is that about the Aspire Act that you had pushed?
No, this is a
Completely different
separate program that the Department of Homeland Security has implemented, where effectively the people who apply for asylum are then paroled into the United States. And once you're paroled in, you are eligible to get work authorization immediately. You don't have to wait the 6 months. He does raise a good point, Mr. Perez, which is this asylum situation, this broken immigration system is not something that the Biden administration can fix itself. It requires congressional action to address many of these issues. And unfortunately, we do not have good faith partners on the other side of the aisle who want to solve the problem. They want to use this for as a political cudgel for their political benefit. So the administration is working, and we are working with them in many different ways to try to use the limited discretion and the limited power they have to alleviate this process. I think today's announcement will be a very important first step, although it certainly will not be the last.
It certainly is more promising than what we've been dealing with so far. We want to switch gears before we let you go. You served as lead counsel during former President Trump's first impeachment. And right now you sit on the Oversight Committee, which will carry out the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. So what can we expect from this?
Well, you can expect the continuation of a lot of lies from my Republican colleagues. They are beginning a sham impeachment process based on zero evidence linking President Biden to any wrongdoing. And what we will do as Democrats is expose the fact that they are trying to lump the president in with the so-called Biden family, but that the evidence does not support any link, connection, or wrongdoing by President Biden. And so this is an effort by Speaker McCarthy to once again placate the extreme fringe right-wing section of his party and to appease Donald Trump, who is working behind the scenes to get Republicans to vengefully impeach President Biden because Donald Trump does not like the fact that he was impeached twice. That's what this is about. It's not about the facts. It's not about the evidence. It's not about any wrongdoing by President Biden. And we will be sure to bring that out as we go forward.
And we're running out of time, but before I let you go, how close are we on Capitol Hill to ending this funding fight so we can avoid a government shutdown by the end of the month?
Well, certainly the impeachment inquiry does not help because it creates a very adversarial tone here. And the only way to avoid a shutdown in divided government is to work together. The Republicans have shown no interest in working with Democrats for the last 8 months in the House. And they show no interest in working with Democrats in the Senate, even though it's controlled by Democrats, nor have they shown much interest in working with the president, who's also a Democrat. So unless the Republicans yield and recognize that they cannot dictate everything that they want in divided government, I really fear that we are headed toward a shutdown, and that will be on their watch.
All right, well, time will tell. Congressman Dan Goldman, thank you again for taking the time to join us and for giving us the breaking news on the migrant crisis. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
7:40.